One of the most efficient ways to capture as much of a market move as possible is using the market to tell us where to adjust our stop loss. But we have a few different options for that. So what I want to do is show you some of the different options that we have in order to capture as much of this market move as we can. Some are better, some are worse. Some are going to capture a little bit of the market move. Some are going to capture more of the market move, but in doing so, risk more of your trade. So the pullback will have to be more significant to stop you out. And eventually that does happen. So you end up giving back more of your trade. But let's start with the simplest one. Now we're going to start with the moving average. On this particular chart, I've got a 13, a 50, and a 200. The best way to start managing your trade is with one of the tools that you already have. And in this case, I've got this 13 SMA. So let's get rid of the other moving averages. Right now, we're not looking so much for entries. We're just looking for ways to manage the trade. Now, with that initial trade, let's say in this area here, we get this long trade. So I'm looking to go long. I'm in the buy trade. The price is moving my way. How do I let this trade mature to capture as much of that movement as possible? Trailing your stop loss along that 13 SMA is the best way to do it. Now, there's a couple of rules that I have before I start to use that 13 SMA or whatever moving average that you're using. Let's say, for example, we're in a trade in here for some reason. We get this nice opportunity to buy, so we do. We get into this trade. The market does not pull away from these moving averages. In this area here, it hugs that 13 SMA. It doesn't pull away. It doesn't get any clearance. We don't see any good momentum in the market just yet. So at this point, I'm not looking to use that moving average as a trailing stop. What I want to do is wait for a sign of momentum. I want to see that the price pulls away from that moving average. And then I'm going to start using that 13 SMA. And in this case, we see that in here. We see that initially on this gray candle, but we get 2 or 3 or 4 candles in this area where the price has cleared that SMA. So they form completely, entirely above that SMA. The highs, the lows, the opens, the close, that whole candle has cleared that moving average. So from there, for every new candle that opens, I'm going to start managing my trade along that 13 SMA. So for every new candle that opens, my stop loss gets adjusted and I manage this trade along this moving average. And in this case, we get taken out very close to the top. Now, this is a really beautiful trade example. We're seeing that the market moves really well and it bounces off of this 13 SMA very cleanly. And we end up getting the most out of this trade that we possibly could by using a trailing stop loss. Now, that's not always going to be the case. That SMA does get fairly tight to the price, and sometimes little pullbacks can get us out of that trade. So if I scroll up a little bit, we can see this area in the market here. We've got a couple of glitches that could cause us some problems. We don't want to place our stop loss on the 13 SMA, of course. We want to leave a little bit of space between the SMA and our stop loss. But this little tail may have taken you out of the trade. This little tail may have taken you out of the trade. So we may get out of the trade a little bit prematurely sometimes. Now, the way to make this 13 SMA a little bit more pullback friendly is by using the highs and the lows of that SMA. Now, I've got an indicator that shows that in the form of dots. It's called the dots indicator. And I'm going to adjust the settings to an SMA. We're going to make this exactly what the moving average is. Now the dots show us the highs and the lows of a 13 simple moving average shifted one. And the thing with the dots is that it only shows us one side. When the price moves above the upper band or the upper channel, we only see the lower channel. And when it moves below the lower channel, we only see the upper channel. And being dots is really nice because it shows me exactly where the stop loss should be for every candle. I don't have to think about this. Now I'm going to apply a moving average channel just so you can see that this is exactly what this is. Now I do have a moving average channel. So we'll make an SMA, we'll shift it one period, and I'm going to get rid of the fill. There we go. So we can see how this channel overlays these dots. So this is the moving average channel. Now with a moving average channel, we get a little bit more as far as just trade management. We also get trade triggers and initial stop loss placement. You get a move or a close above the channel in this case. That would be a signal for an entry our stop loss would go underneath that candle's channel. And then as the trade progresses, we just use the channel to trail the stop loss and hopefully catch as much as possible. So this is a couple of different options so far. We can use the moving averages and we can use a moving average channel. Now the moving average channel is the one that I use the most. This moving average channel, again, I have an indicator called the dots and it shows me that channel. And that's a really nice indicator. I use it in all of my trading. Now with the moving average channel like this, you're not going to score the massive home runs. You're not going to get the biggest of the big trades because even though it's still a channel, it still is fairly close to the price and a significant pullback could get us out. So to allow for some of these pullbacks, we can use a different technique called bar counting. You want to look at the highest high or the lowest low of X amount of bars. So what we'll be doing is counting the closed bars previous to the current bar. So if I'm looking at this white bar as the current bar, this one is not closed, it is forming. And I use a bar count of 8, for example. What I'm looking at are the last 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And out of these 8 bars, I'm looking for the lowest low. And that'll be this one right here. So I've got an 8 bar count. Let's say this was the current bar right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of these bars, I'm looking at the lowest low. And these two look like they can compete for the lowest low. So this is where my stop loss would be. So as every bar closes, a new bar opens, that whole count shifts over 1 bar. So we're looking at the last 8 bars. Now, again, there is an indicator that shows you this really nice and clearly. And that is called the Donchian channel. And wouldn't you know it, I happen to have one of those as well. So with the Donchian channel, this is something that you can find, by the way, anywhere. Just type it up, Donchian channel, and you'll find, this is how it's spelled, Donchian channel. So you'll find one of these indicators. Now I'm going to get rid of the middle band. I'm going to get rid of the fills. And what we'll see is an 8 period Donchian channel. And with this 8 period Donchian channel, what we're seeing is this indicator is looking at the lowest low of the last 8 candles, and it adjusts itself accordingly. And this gives us the ability to trail this trade along the lows of this market. Now, as our stop loss is down here, we get a significant pullback. This one takes us out of the trade, but in the meantime, we may have caught quite a bit on this trade, just allowing this market to move. Now, the Donchian settings at 8 or 10 would be preferable. 5 is very common. 3 is pretty common too. So if we look at this as a 5 setting, what we start doing is choking out the price a little bit. When you have a 5 setting, you are going to get these areas where consolidation becomes an issue, where smaller pullbacks become an issue. So you want to do a little testing if this is the way you want to do it. Between an 8 and a 10, I find to be some of the ideal settings for a bar count or the Donchian channel. Now, the next way is by using the price itself. So let's take a look at this little section, and then we'll take a look at this section as well. We're using the price as it makes higher highs and higher lows, or in the case of a downtrend, lower lows and lower highs. So what we want to see is the price makes a market move up, and then it makes a pullback. And then it makes a move that's higher than the previous high, so a move that's higher than this high, and then it makes a pullback. And then it makes another move higher than the previous high, and so on. So we're looking for a market to make this stair step or this zigzag pattern. So if this is the case, and we've got our initial stop loss down here, price pulls up, comes back, pulls up, and then it breaks that high. Price gets above this swing high. What we're looking at is in between these 2 points. We're looking at the lowest low, which would be this. And this is where our stop loss is going to go. Price pulls back. Now it continues up and it breaks that previous high. So right in here, we're looking between these 2 spots, the highest high and the break of that highest high for that lowest low. And that's right here. So stop loss gets moved this way. And we do that until at some point we get taken out of the trade. And I'll show you this on this chart right here. We've got the market moving up and then pulling back, and it moves up and it wobbles around. But as soon as it breaks above this high, we'll take our stop loss from where it was initially to in between here and here, the lowest low, which is right here, and move our stop loss to that area. Price moves up, pulls back, continues to move up, breaks that high. This is that new low. So our stop loss moves from here to here. Price continues to move up, pulls back, breaks that high. This becomes our new low. Stop loss moves from here to here. And we see this a few different times. So the stop loss, and then finally, as the market tanks, that stop takes us out. Now, this is an ideal example. This one, we catch most of that market movement. This is a really nice example, but it's not always going to work quite as nice as this. When you're doing something like this, of course, you're going to start seeing pullbacks that take out stop losses that aren't really close to the price. So you'll have a market that moves like this, and then you get this break of the high up here. Your stop loss now is down here, and it comes all the way down and it takes out your stop loss. And maybe your entry was just down here. So you've given quite a bit back. You haven't capitalized too much on this, but you've given a lot back to the market. So trailing a stop loss like this, there are pros and cons to it. The pros are you can indeed catch a huge market movement. The cons, of course, are if the price does move against you fairly sharply, you could give back quite a bit of your trade. Now, you want to consider this before actually doing this. Let's say your trades right now are 2-to-1s. So you've got your entry, you've got your 1, you've got your 2, you've got your stop loss. And what you're looking for are trades that take your 2-to-1. And you're finding that fairly regularly, you're getting your 2-to-1. But what happens is if you're trailing your stop loss might be down here right now. You get to the 2-to-1, maybe the 3-to-1, and then you get this huge pullback and it takes you out. So instead of capturing your 2-to-1 trade, you end up breaking even or even losing money on the trade. So when you're trying to trail your stop loss for the big trades, you have to understand that this is sometimes going to be the case. You're going to sometimes find that if you take 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 targets, you'd be much better off than the occasional 5-to-1 trade that you end up catching, because so many of your 2-to-1s end up not being 2-to-1, end up not even being 1-to-1 because of the significant pullback on those trades. Now, if I want to catch as much of that market movement as possible, this zigzag pattern using the market lows is what I would use. But generally, I don't do that myself. Generally, I'm using the dots indicator or that moving average channel to get a little bit more than I would normally get on a trade. Using those dots can at times get me 3 or 4 or even 5-to-1 trades. If I can get a 2-to-1 trade, I'm really happy. If I can get a 3 or a 4-to-1 trade, I'm ecstatic. That is much more than I had planned on getting on the trade. And if I can use the dots, not catch the home runs, but end up catching maybe 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 out of the trade, I'm really happy. Now, I've posted trades. The biggest one I think was a 10-to-1 trade, but we used an entry method that gave us a very small stop loss and the market took off. It was just a really good day that day, but that is not normal. Getting a 10-to-1 trade is not a normal thing. Getting a 5-to-1 trade is difficult to do. Getting a 3-to-1 trade or a 2-to-1 trade, that would be considered a normal kind of trade. And if trade management like this allows you to get a 3-to-1 trade, that is a trade well played and properly managed. So if we're looking at a short, we're looking at the exact opposite. We're seeing that the price breaks the lows, and every time it breaks the lows, the stop loss moves to the new high. And we'll just keep doing that every time those previous lows get broken. So it's the exact same thing, just backwards, just down. So we're looking for either the dots, we're looking for the channel, we're looking for the moving average, we're looking for the market swings to be making their way down. And this is how you would manage the short trade. It's the exact same as managing a long trade in reverse.